Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're getting into something absolutely mind-bending. We're talking about the staggering idea that your brain isn't just some isolated biological machine sitting in your skull, but that it might actually be intimately connected to the universe's very own quantum fabric. We are breaking down quantum consciousness theory, really simplifying the science of quantum metacognition, to figure out how your brain fundamentally connects to the whole universe.
Okay, let's dive into this. Is your brain a quantum computer? Honestly, this is like the ultimate locked room mystery of modern science. For decades, we've treated the mind as this thing completely trapped inside the skull, right? But what if the processes creating your conscious awareness are actually operating on the exact same mysterious quantum principles that govern the fundamental particles of our universe?
Section 1. The hard problem.
So here's the question that has stumped scientists literally for centuries. How exactly does a 3-pound lump of tissue generate subjective experience? It's the whole mystery of why things actually feel like something. Why do you experience the vibrant red of a sunset or that bittersweet pang of nostalgia? Because think about it, if we're just sophisticated biological robots processing inputs, there shouldn't really be an inner life, nobody home upstairs. And yet, obviously, here we are. And this brilliantly illustrates the massive paradigm shift we're witnessing right now. On one side, you've got the classical brain theory. That's the old idea of the brain as just a meat computer, where billions of neurons fire like basic digital bits to somehow magically create consciousness. But on the other side, we have the new frontier, the quantum grain. This theory suggests that these tiny structures inside your neurons, called microtubules, are actually functioning as organic quantum computers.
Section 2. Enter the quantum brain.
Now, to really grasp how this works, we have to zoom way down into the microscopic world and meet the tiny heroes of our detective story. But first, let's clearly define some of the heavy jargon so we're all on the same page. Superposition is a core quantum concept where particles literally exist in multiple states simultaneously, at least until they're observed. I know, it completely defies our everyday classical common sense, but it is literally the foundation of how matter operates at the absolute smallest scales.
Which brings us to a pretty radical theory from the 1990s called ORC, or Orchestrated Objective Reduction. This came from an unlikely but completely brilliant partnership between Sir Roger Penrose, a Nobel laureate in physics, and Stuart Hameroff, an anesthesiologist. They completely shifted the paradigm. They proposed that consciousness doesn't emerge from classical neurons just firing back and forth, but rather from quantum computations happening deep inside those tiny, hollow structural tubes in our cells we just mentioned, the microtubules.
Naturally, for a long time, skeptics argued that the brain is just way too warm, wet, and noisy for delicate quantum states to actually survive. But, well, nature is a lot more clever than we gave it credit for. We now have solid evidence of quantum biology happening at warm temperatures. For example, plants use superposition for near-perfect efficiency during photosynthesis. Birds. They actually use quantum entanglement to navigate magnetic fields. Heck, even our sense of smell might rely on quantum tunneling. So if all that is happening, why not the brain?
Section 3. Evidence from anesthesia.
Let's move to and see how this builds into a chronological breakdown of the mechanism of anesthesia, based on some incredible recent breakthroughs. When anesthetic drugs enter the brain, they don't just randomly affect neural firing. They specifically bind to microtubules and disrupt their quantum activity, and that is what results in a loss of consciousness. It's wild. Amazingly, when researchers actually stabilized these microtubule tubes in animals, it delayed the onset of unconsciousness. That is a direct link.
And just take a look at this number, 37. 37 degrees Celsius is normal human body temperature. At this exact warm temperature, researchers at the University of Alberta shined light into microtubules and actually observed quantum coherence lasting for up to nanoseconds. Now, in the quantum world, a nanosecond is an absolute eternity. That is more than enough time for these microscopic quantum computations to heavily influence our neural activity.
Section 4. Entanglement and cosmic mind.
Have you ever wondered how billions of totally separate, disconnected neurons manage to create one unified, seamless conscious experience? In neuroscience, that's called the binding problem. Well, quantum entanglement might just be the answer. This happens when particles remain instantly connected regardless of the distance between them, entirely transcending both space and time. So think about it. If different regions of your brain are entangled, they're sharing information instantaneously. They're binding all your senses into one unified reality.
Albert Einstein was famously pretty unsettled by this whole concept. He gave it the scientific weight of this incredibly memorable quote, calling it spooky action at a distance. And yeah, it is a wild concept that non-local connections can just exist like that. But physics has repeatedly proven that entanglement is a very real, measurable phenomenon.
Now, what's really interesting about this data is that it isn't just theoretical anymore. Recent experiments using highly sophisticated MRI techniques over at Trinity College Dublin have actually detected signatures that could indicate potential quantum entanglement happening in living human brains. Now, to be totally objective here, this is highly debated, and we're simply looking at the impartial data right now. But if confirmed, this is revolutionary evidence that your mind is operating as a macroscopic quantum system.
Section 5. Creating reality.
Over in quantum mechanics, we have this thing called the measurement problem. As demonstrated in the famous double-slit experiment, particles literally lack definite properties until they are observed. What that suggests is that consciousness acts as a sort of lens, focusing the quantum field. Meaning, your awareness doesn't just passively observe a pre-existing world. It might actually be collapsing infinite quantum possibilities into definite realities moment by moment.
So let me ask you this. What if your memories aren't just retrieved from some biological hard drive in your head? Under a quantum framework, remembering might not just be accessing a stored file. Instead, it could be the act of actively collapsing past quantum possibilities into a specific, remembered reality, right here in the present moment. Think about that. You aren't just recalling the past, you're continuously creating it through quantum measurement.
The renowned physicist John Wheeler proposed that we actually live in a participatory universe. We aren't isolated, passive observers just looking out at some mechanical clockwork. We're active agents. We are continuously participating in bringing reality into concrete existence through our conscious awareness. Every thought, every intention, every observation might literally be shaping the fabric of space-time.
So, the crucial point here is that this effect might not just be individual. It might be collective. The Global Consciousness Project at Princeton University has been monitoring random number generators for decades. Impartial data from the project suggests that during major global events, when the attention of millions of people is highly synchronized, these random systems actually show increased statistical order. It strongly hints that focused, collective human consciousness might literally shape the surrounding quantum field. All of this leaves us with an absolutely awe-inspiring question. Are you merely observing the universe? Or is the universe dreaming through you? If your brain is connected to the cosmos through quantum entanglement, then your mind is a fundamental part of an ongoing cosmic symphony of creation. Just let that sink in for a second. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. And hey, keep wondering about the magnificent mysteries of your own mind.